Hi, my name is Miss Laurel, and welcome back to Stone Storytelling. I was just resting after going for my constitutional, and I forgot what I was supposed to do today. So, let's see. Today's story is Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, in a tiny house at the edge of a village, there lived a boy named Jack with his mother. They were very poor, and the only thing they had was a brown cow named Buttercup. Every day Buttercup's milk kept them fed, but one morning Buttercup had no more milk. Buttercup gave Jack a mournful look, as if to say, "I've done my best." Jack's mother sighed and said, "We have no choice, Jack. We must sell Buttercup. We will use the money to buy food and maybe start a little shop." His heart was heavy, but Jack knew there was no other way. "I'll take her to the market, Mother. Don't worry. We'll be all right." Jack led Buttercup down the winding road, making their way to the market. They hadn't gone far when a mysterious old man appeared. "Good morning, Jack," the man said cheerfully. Jack blinked. "Good morning, sir, but how do you know my name?" The old man chuckled. "Oh, I know many things. Where are you off to with that fine cow?" Jack explained that he was going to sell the cow, and the old man's eyes lit up. "Well, now, perhaps I can save you a trip. How about a trade? Your Buttercup for these." From his pocket, the old man pulled a handful of glowing beans. "Beans?" Jack said, puzzled. "Not just any beans, magical beans," the man said. "Plant them tonight, and by morning they'll grow right into the sky. You won't regret it. Adventure, riches, everything you could dream of, waiting for you at the top." Jack hesitated, but the man's words stirred something in him. He wasn't sure what, but it felt a lot like hope. "All right," he said finally. "I'll trade." With a smile on his face, the old man took Buttercup's lead and handed Jack the beans. Jack raced home, bursting with excitement. "Mother, look, magical beans! They'll change our life forever!" But Jack's mother didn't see magic. She saw foolishness. "You traded our cow for beans. What will we eat? How will we live?" In her anger, she flung the beans out the window. "Go to bed, Jack. You've brought us nothing but trouble." Jack crept up to his attic room, his heart full of regret. He stared out at the stars, wishing the old man's words were true. Finally, he slept. But when Jack woke in the morning, his room was filled with green light. He rushed to the window and gasped. Overnight, a huge beanstalk had sprouted, with thick vines twisting up and up into the clouds. It was like nothing he'd ever seen. Without a second thought, Jack climbed out the window and onto the beanstalk. Hand over hand, he climbed higher and higher until he broke through the clouds. What he found there took his breath away. A long, winding road stretched before him, leading to an enormous, magnificent castle. Jack's stomach rumbled, but his curiosity was stronger than his hunger. He hurried toward the castle and knocked on the colossal door. A giant woman answered, wearing an apron as big as a sail. "What do you want, boy?" she asked. "Please, ma'am," Jack said. "I haven't eaten since yesterday. Could you spare a bite?" The woman's face softened. "You poor thing. But you must be quick. My husband loves the taste of little boys. And if he finds you, you'll end up as breakfast." Jack nodded and followed her inside. She set a plate of bread, cheese, and milk before him, and Jack was just about to take a bite when the ground began to tremble. Thump, thump, thump. Each step was like a small earthquake. "Quick!" the woman hissed, shoving Jack into the oven. The door burst open, and in stomped the giant. He was tall as a tree, with a booming voice that echoed off the walls. "Dee-dum-dum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "Nonsense," his wife said, rolling her eyes. "You're smelling yesterday's stew. Sit down and I'll fix your breakfast." The giant grumbled, but sat at the enormous table. After devouring 3 roasted oxen, he pulled out a bag of gold coins and began counting them. Before long, he dozed off, snoring like a thunderstorm. Jack crept out of the oven, his heart racing. He grabbed the bag of gold and fled down the beanstalk as fast as he could. When he reached home, he poured the gold onto the table. Mother, look! The beans were magical after all. The gold kept them fed for a while, but when it ran out, Jack couldn't resist. He climbed the beanstalk again. This time he hid in the castle and watched as the giant commanded his hen to lay a golden egg. Jack waited until the giant was asleep again and snatched up the hen and dashed for the beanstalk. The hen's squawking woke the giant, who roared with rage. But Jack reached the ground just in time. The golden hen brought them wealth and comfort. But Jack's curiosity would not let him rest. He climbed the beanstalk one last time. This time he took the giant's singing harp. But the harp cried out, "Master, master, someone is taking me away." The giant woke and chased Jack, shaking the beanstalk with every step. Jack scrambled down and called to his mother, "Bring the axe!" With a mighty swing, Jack chopped the beanstalk. The giant fell to the ground with a tremendous crash, but instead of roaring with anger, he groaned in pain, clutching his leg. Jack and his mother rushed to help. They bandaged the giant's leg and brought him food and water until he was better. Touched by their kindness, the giant said, "Take the harp and the hen, they're yours. But please plant another bean so I can return home." Jack agreed. He planted a single bean and a new beanstalk grew. The giant climbed back to his castle, and from that day on, he and Jack became friends. As for Jack and his mother, they lived happily ever after, their cottage filled with golden eggs and music from the harp. Aww. Wow, that's not how I remember it ending, but this is supposed to be the real version, so you have a good day.